about your friends?
Yeah, because the last.
Stand their ground.
Do they
Will they
let
let
you
you
down
down?
again?
Hey.
Oh,
Uh,
what about your
what
friends?
about your friend?
It's cruising down the street in my 6'4", jocking the
Yes.
foot, clocking the dough. That's what it was. Easy E, episode 64.
Hey aunties, it's Jake from Chicago. What's brewing today?
It sounds so like
That was with gusto.
that was with gusto.
Beyonce, Kelly, and sex toys.
Ooh, ask your aunties. Social media appropriation.
And what about your friends? So get your cups ready for MinoriTea Report.
Hey y'all, how y'all
Hey.
doing?
Hey, community.
I'm amazing because before we even get to it, subscribe. We're on YouTube, bitches. For those that are watching us now on YouTube, we're learning. It's a learning process of what we need to do and everything. So we're like, okay, you know what? We need to make sure to say, please subscribe and hit the bell. I think that's what all the hip kids say now.
Oh, the subscribe button down below.
Down below, wherever it is.
Down there. Down here.
Him downstairs.
Just
Hey,
one
down
just
there.
one point of clarity. If you're searching for us, it's a lot of Minority Report by Tom Cruise comes up. So when it auto corrects for Minority TY, just make sure you correct that motherfucker back to say TEA so you can find us.
Right.
I know. I noticed that too. I'm like, damn.
Right. It's like that movie been out like 45 years ago.
And I'm sorry, I'm trying to fix my camera and everything. I'm just struggling at life right now.
Them pseudo Christians working hard to keep Tom Cruise on the top of the timeline.
Right?
Like, damn.
I'm like, come on. He ain't been in nothing since 93.
I had to troubleshoot a whole bunch of people in my network. Like, we trying to
know.
find you on YouTube. We trying to watch you watch your show, but we keep seeing Tom Cruise. Like, no, TEA, not TY. I know you typing it in, but it autocorrects, so you have to change it back.
Yep. So thank you for finding us on YouTube. If you found us on YouTube, if you're listening to the podcast, thank you for checking in. But now, let's get to the true matter at hand.
Yes.
We said it a couple weeks ago. We said she was too quiet.
Yes.
And then today, we recording on a Wednesday right now.
Ew.
She said, I'm going to hop on this Savage remix right quick and just destroy everybody's favorite rapper out there. Beyonce's like top
Look.
5 that are alive at this point, it seems like.
Look, when she said, if you don't jump to put your jeans on, baby, you don't feel my pain. I said, oh, girl, I gasped. I was like, oh, even my booty cheeks, little,
Your
they
cheeks
they
clapped
even
a little
moved
bit.
a little bit. I was like, oh, they know that
Oh.
move too.
Literally, it was like world stop again.
Yeah.
Literally, that's exactly what it was. Oh, bitch. And then she said on that Demon Time, might start an OnlyFans page. Oh.
And a lot of people aren't hip on to what the demon time is. So the demon time is right now on IG. A lot of the strippers of the world are either getting on rappers' IG lives and twerking and everything for them and get some coin, or doing their own IG live of just stripping. They
Yeah.
gotta make their coins too, So if you didn't know what demon time is, that's what that is. And for B to know what this shit is,
Look. She said, I'm a cool mom, okay? Good luck.
She may be like quarantined on some island somewhere, but she's still connected to the culture.
girl, absolutely.
Real talk.
Look, she
Absolutely.
know what time it is.
Oh,
She
God.
she came on time. Y'all community, Auntie Hennessy has been having a day today. And when Auntie Vodka said, B dropped a new song, I said, huh? I said, what? You mean my queen?
Huh.
She showed up.
All
On
the way
time.
up.
Okay,
She said, I'm
bitch.
gonna drop 3 verses on Megan's remix.
Bitch. It was so good.
She said, excuse me, Megan. Excuse me.
Look,
I got 3 verses.
mhm. And I love that Megan like switched up her, hers too. Like she didn't stick with the original, verses of Savage. She actually remixed it and switched it up. And I was like, good for you, because you knew Beyonce was gonna be like that old stuff.
You ain't doing that.
This is mine. See, this is mine. Okay. It may say featuring, but it is mine. Okay.
I mean, really, it was a whole Beyonce song with a couple of features from Megan Thee Stallion. Like, that's really what it ended up being.
Beyonce had ad-libs, she had harmonies, she had...
And look,
I got shit else to do. Let me just make a full ass song.
She got nothing but time on her hands, so she did it all.
She did. She brought in the song and closed the song, talking about the stallion, the bee. I said,
right.
I wouldn't
not even not bee. She said bee with all the harmonies stacked. I was like, bitch, I can't.
I wouldn't be surprised if she has been at home working with her like choreographer already through Zoom, building out some choreography to release like at the end of this week or the early part of next week.
Don't play. I hope so.
With a whole new dance routine, and it's like just one whole routine. So we can get all the bitches that are home can get on that TikTok and just start doing pieces of her routine.
Jaquel, I hope you hear this. Get that routine ready.
Look, the plan is to put something out before she does. So she can do what Megan did for the album to begin with for this song before and blew up the TikTok dance. So, she gonna finally probably try to get out there on TikTok because y'all know she ain't with it.
Oh, she got that burner account.
No, I'm talking about me. I'm talking about me. Okay. I'm gonna get out there and I'm gonna be the one to create that dance before it's released. So then she be like, okay, I'm gonna include his choreography in this one.
Right.
It does make you thirsty for a Beyonce rap album, though. Like legit, it makes you. If you really think about like where her journey has been going, and she's been dropping these little like just tipping her toe in that hip hop water, with like a bunch of songs.
She's always rapped because even back on like Bugaboo. She's like, it's not high that you be calling me. She's been rapping since the 90s. But I think she's just doing more. And obviously, if you're going to live with Jay-Z, you better pick up a few pointers along the way, So
at least by injection, so.
Well, we already know that. She's like, I got Blue, Sir, and Remy. Remy.
I would love to hear that. I would love to hear. I would love to hear like just like even if it's like even if it's like an EP, like 8 songs, that's completely different than everything else, but it has that rap swag on it. That would be amazing.
And honestly, since she gave birth to her twins, her voice has changed. Like, and a lot of women say that, like once they have kids, that their voice gets deeper, and you could tell her voice has gotten deeper. And this is, I'm sorry, community. It's about to be the music nerd coming out of me again. She's actually starting to modulate her songs down. People don't know it. But if you listen to the original and to the new versions that she does of, like, say...
I know it's in Homecoming. In Homecoming, you see it clearly in Homecoming.
The tune or the key down. And a lot of singers do that because, like, what you do in the studio, you're perfecting the moment. What you do live is just having the moment. And sometimes you can't sing them high-ass notes day in and day out like that. Your voice is built for that.
While you running around doing backflips and working on
nobody got time for that. So she's starting to modulate her key down, and her range is a lot lower now than it was at the beginning of her career. And you can kind of tell, and that's even at the beginning of this song, like her first notes, you're like, ooh, she got that little deep rasp going on, and I like it, honestly.
I love it.
I mean, like even in like in Homecoming, when she does Crazy in Love, the very first song, like you can see the difference between when she was in 2003 when she came out, 2002 when she came out with it, to now, 18 years later.
She's like, she's like, let me rest these vocals. Let me just rap.
She's still slaying the fuck out of it though. Shoot,
I'm here for it. I am so here for it. I got so happy. Like. I don't know why I stand so hard. Like, it doesn't make sense, community. Why I get this hype over this woman. It's insane.
I love me some her.
Ooh, I love me some her.
I was just sitting here thinking obviously I have a lot of love for Beyonce, and there's no buts in this. Like, that's just a period. Right. I feel like I get more excited when I see the visuals. Like, I'm more visually stimulated. So whenever I hear her albums for the first time, I usually am not with it for the very first time. It usually takes me like 3 or 4 times listening to the whole album straight to really get with it. And that's usually coupled with I need those visuals to come along with it. And then it pulls it all together for me. So like I do feel like my reservation right now isn't because of a lack of love for Bey, but I like in my mind, I was telling you guys earlier, I'm sitting here imagining her like in the studio doing choreography and all this because like that's what I really want. I want that the visuals to come out with it.
Bitch, she gets me together with the lyrics before I see the visual. Bitch, when she said you can see these cheeks, left cheek, right cheek, I said, right. Yes, bitch. You already know I'm twerking to this part right now. You telling me what to do because you know
twerking in the mirror.
Girl, I was like,
all the way together.
Come through, mother.
She was like I love the stunting bee.
Yes.
That's what I really enjoy. Yeah. Because there's very few people that can literally live up to that level. There's like a Beyonce, there's like a Rihanna.
They're the only two that I can think of.
And I get it now. A lot of people put Ari up there. I get it because it's just exactly. It's not me putting her up there. But
wait. Ariana Grande.
Hold on. I don't. But I know a lot of the young kids. A lot of young kids put her up there as well. However, not Carol Revis, not Auntie Baca. Laughing real hard.
Girl, she said she went from Beyonce, Rihanna, and then she said Ari. Look, my face broke. I look.
But a lot of the young gays, like you just see all them. Even something just went viral this week where it was like a meme of like them saying this is what a gay's heart sounds like, and it's the opening to the I'm so into you, that little boom 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 boom, and that shit had like millions of views. So I'm like, okay, it's the next generation's queen. I get it. Every generation gets it, because even to this day, Corey's like Madonna's queen. I don't see it, but I get that's that gay generation. I understand it, but I forget what I was even saying.
But, girl.
Because it was trash.
But when it comes to like a Beyonce and a Rihanna, like just the way they just move the culture forward and just have these moments continually, it's insane. So I can't wait for it. Let Riri drop something now. Like I'm literally gonna just lose all my shit. We talked about it. We said both of them were too quiet.
Look, I mean, she's an OG girl, but I just found out Brandy is releasing an album coming up soon too. Yeah, and the album, the song called Baby Mama with Chance the Rapper, I was like, that's gonna be fire. Like that's gonna be fire. It's gonna be so good. And she got an album coming out in June, I want to say. So, girl, it's been a hot minute. So, I don't know. Look, I'm glad music is coming back. I'm glad people got over that shit. Like, oh, because of coronavirus, I'm not going to put nothing out. Like, no. Do your job. Put it out there still. We need it.
And we're going to do all the routine. We're going to do whatever. So do your little Zoom routine if you need to, because we're going to learn it. You ain't got shit else to do in the crib.
Like Tootsie, like, what is it, the Tootsie slide that Drake literally released for TikTok? Like,
smart as hell.
It's really smart
as hell.
But everything is telling you to do something. It's easy. I was like, smart. You exactly. Kudos to you. Now is the time to do that. Like,
I do feel like because we're all like sheltering in place, there is no excuse. If you're a true artist, this is your time. Like you have no distractions whatsoever. Start getting to that studio, start releasing stuff. And you don't even have to release a whole project. Like do some features, do some whatever. Like I just want to see like the creatives really just start pushing out more and more projects and releasing them in like non-traditional ways so that they don't feel like they have to like buck to the system or how the system feels that they need to release their music. Like just do you, because right now we ain't got nothing but time and opportunity.
And that's another reason why Missy released Cool Off too, because she knew that was gonna catch up. I'm gonna need to do that though. Like I felt like hey, what?
Bitch, that's a cardio workout.
It is.
It is.
I watched that. Yeah. I watched that challenge, and I'm like, bitch, I don't think I can make it through this whole part.
Me either. And you see a lot of people cut off even the front part of it now.
Right.
Like, okay, we're just gonna get to that part.
Yeah.
I'm like, hold on, there's a whole like 16 count before even that part that y'all ain't doing.
Girl,
Get a
say
shake.
that.
Cool off.
And even Missy's like, she's sharing a lot of it. She's sharing a lot of like these dances on her own timeline. Like, talk about somebody that's literally for the culture, from the culture.
Absolutely.
That chick.
Woo. Oh man. And then you see also today they released a snippet of Doja Cat and Nicki Minaj remix to
Say so.
So Say So.
Yeah.
I'm like, look at this. Come on. Y'all just getting us all the way together. Because Doja Cat song Say So is dope.
Yeah, I do like that. Her
So
body is thick. She got a thick, cute little body on her.
Right? I agree.
I was like, girl. And then for her to be wearing that see-through like mesh, I was like, girl, you got your titties all out. It took me a second. I was like, this is a cute, like very poppy, like appropriate video. And I was like, oh, that's
she got her titties out.
Right? I was like,
that's like,
take it back.
That's like Kelly Rowland in Coffee. Had her titties all the way out.
Yeah, them chocolate chips all out.
You saw you saw them Hershey's Kisses.
I was like, come on now,
Like,
picking through the shirt.
Look, and you know what? I love that she plays into colors that are so fitting to that beautiful melanin. Like, it's so beautiful.
Beautiful. It's upsetting how beautiful her skin tone is.
And like
she's literally like
rocks
the
brown
version.
so well.
Yes.
She rocks brown, the color brown so
and not every black person can wear the color brown. That's a hard color for us to wear.
Yes.
But it fits her skin tone perfectly.
So good. Were you gonna say the one?
I forgot. I was sitting here thinking about her, like I'm imagining her in like different colors, and I'm just like, gosh, she's so goddamn pretty.
Right.
Oh, pretty.
And that afro bitch she had, afro, like the drummer for Gem.
Yeah.
That wig.
That was a throwback reference.
Right.
Ooh, girl, she be cracking me up though when she be talking about like, y'all see that when she was drunk, she had those margaritas and she was talking about her what size her dildo is.
Kelly was?
Yes, she was. I
know she got that Kelly After Dark right now on IG.
Yeah,
no.
And if you go on her Twitter, she has a pin when she like pinned it. What did it say? She said something about like is your partner okay with like you having like a dildo or something like that? Like, yes, bitch. Like she had a whole ass conversation with someone on Instagram Live, and she was like, I had a couple drinks, and she was like, my toy is like, it's like this big, but girl, it be hitting it. And I was like, heavily. Yes, girl.
Said sex in the morning with coffee. This is the one thing I enjoy about that, because Kelly and Michelle and Solange could be so much more open than B. B has to get everything out in her music. Yeah. Because she's so big that she just can't. And honestly,
she has to control it. She has to control it.
And I honestly don't want to see Beyonce on IG Live. That's too close.
Too accessible.
I love that she's one of the few stars that is still this like facade and this like mirage about her. Like the old MJ and Janet days where you wouldn't see them until like they were ready for you to see them. Yeah. And so that's what I still love about Beyonce. But I love the ones that aren't as big as Beyonce giving us this inside scoop and this inside look at their lives and what they think.
It was 5 days ago. She said, sex toys. Do you prefer using them by yourself or with your partner?
Do you guys use sex toys with your partners?
Yeah. Sometimes.
We don't either. We don't have sex toys.
No. Oh.
Hey, Corey, we might need to do something about this stuff. We in quarantine, but we need to change it up.
we have one that has been sitting in the drawer since
collecting dust
since Chicago. Literally collecting dust. So never used it. Never broke her out. We packed that thing up and moved it 5 times across 3 state lines.
Okay, this is the one time I'm agreeing with Auntie Vodka that she is not the only freak of the aunties.
Thank you. Because she's sipping a wine over here like, how many toys you got, Auntie Hennessy? Oh, she got to count.
Wait, I do.
Oh my God. Oh.
Ooh.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Oh, and she's still counting, y'all.
2 hands.
Out there, podcast land. YouTube, you can see.
So I'm at 8.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And Like, is it all dildos? Is it vibrators? I'm like curious actually now. This was not planned.
I mean,
by the way,
we're there. Only one of them's a
we're there.
vibrator. The rest are dildos or other types of toys.
Right.
And then I guess, I mean, if you call like different types of harnesses and other type of equipment, then I guess we're at like 11.
Okay, because I do have a harness, but that's almost like more for fashion reasons than anything. Like,
I mean, if you use it the right way though, bitch can't go nowhere. You know,
that is true. Like it's a
hey mom,
hey girl. Yeah, like I have a bulldog harness, but like honestly, I don't know Corey. Like for how much Corey talks a big game, but she almost gets a little shy in those moments. Because I don't know why. Like that's his conversation to talk about. Me, I would probably be more open. Like I'm like, whatever, try it. If you don't like it, don't do it anymore, kind of thing. You know. So we're gonna have that. That's interesting. Like, and I haven't even really thought about toys in a while, but it might be time. And I'm sure there's some deals out there right now too.
Right? Look, come on, Amazon. You get that Prime. You get that 2-day delivery.
Girl, huh? Oh,
yeah,
man.
I don't know. That just like I'm not a prude in the sense that like I could never use any toys, but it's just like I don't feel the need to. Right. You know, like even to spice things up, like I don't feel the need.
He
like
said,
we do a lot of stuff.
Prude. I just want some respect. Because though, if you want me to respond.
Ooh yeah.
Because privacy is my middle name. My
last name is Control.
No, my first name ain't Baby. It's Janet. Miss Jackson, if you're nasty. Oh, she needs to drop something too.
Look, all I'm gonna say is Auntie Hennessy has all this ass for a reason, and it requires a certain amount of time. Okay? And attention, exactly. So if you get tired, you need to. The show must go on. Okay? So you know while you have your water break,
I'm getting this mental picture of somebody just be like this.
Yeah. Finish him.
Got the phone in one hand like this, and then the other hand is doing this.
She got Mortal Kombat. He's like, That's funny. Do you like water-based lube or silicone-based lube?
Silicone-based lube for me, personally.
I like silicone too, but sometimes not all silicone-based lubes are the same, is what I've found over time.
Really?
But,
because some of them are a little bit too sticky.
Yeah. Same with some water-based too. It's like over time they get too sticky as well. But you find like a good silicone lube, woo, bitch.
I'm a platinum girl. I like platinum and I like gun oil.
I like gun oil.
Yeah, I use Swiss Gear.
I think
that's what it's called. Swiss Gear.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
I don't like Swiss Gear's water-based.
I don't use their water-based. It's like snot. It's really like not the color, but it's just like it's goopy. But I like their silicone-based. It's phenomenal.
Community, you just getting the whole sex lecture right now. We didn't even plan on this one, but hey, it is what it is.
We ain't got nothing but time and opportunity. So
absolutely.
And if you look
may the 4th be with you. It is May 4th today. May the 4th be with you.
May the 4th. It's gonna be May.
Before we forget, let's say thank you very much to Jake for that intro.
Thanks, Jake, for bringing us.
And I had to force him to do this intro. I'm like, Jake. Oh well, no, Jake. Everybody thinks Jake is a handsome guy. Like thickums juicy is what we call him because he's just a thick dude. But I had to force him to do this intro. He did not want to do it. But thanks, boo.
Much appreciated.
We do appreciate it. Yeah.
And so what else?
Back to lube.
Back to lube.
Back to lube.
Yeah, silicone's the winner.
Have you guys done anything like since we on the topic? Have you guys done anything with your, significant others or by yourself sexually that you've never done before or haven't done in a long time, but now that we have time and no distractions?
No. I don't know about y'all, but I've been like less sexual during quarantine than typical. And I think that's because we are always by each other that I'm like, Back up.
Just like leave me alone right now.
Yeah, like I just want to sleep. Like sometimes I want to just be by myself. I find myself just wanting more space than anything else during quarantine right now.
I agree with that statement. Absolutely agree. But we haven't done anything different.
Wait, what'd you say to one? Wait. Tell it, girl. Tell it.
In there, baby. What's that
like, no, my jack-off game is strong right now.
Yes, baby.
Flex on them, girl. Flex on them.
Right, yeah. That's too funny. Yeah, like I did subscribe to the free month of the premium Pornhub, but I didn't use it as much as I thought. Yeah. Honestly, I've been working a lot more this month. It seems like between work and then even the podcast and getting the YouTube launch, it seems like I'm working a lot more. And I'm like, what is this about? Like everyone else is chilling at the crib, and I'm not chilling right now.
I feel that too because like I'm working.
Like the weekends and much like I get up on Friday and like I find myself like feel like I'm blinking and all of a sudden it's Monday and I'm like back at work. Like everything is really starting to blur. I actually took a mental health day from work. I took PTO on Monday. I didn't go nowhere. She was still in the fucking house. But like I just needed to be like, I need a break from work. Like I need to make sure that I'm taking fucking time away from work because it's like you said before we got on the podcast, girl, like, I can't believe it's fucking May. Like, where the hell did April go? Like, we were just getting...
March and April
just started,
Yeah, like, we were just...
March was a long-ass month. If you don't remember, March, there was a lot of shit going on in the month of March. It went for a long time. But April...
Okay. Be gone.
Like, all of a sudden, it's like, we buying Christmas gifts? Is that what we doing?
Right?
But, like, Mother's Day is a week from now. Like...
Yeah. I find I'm with you, Carell. I'm actually working a lot like now. And because the days are blending together, it doesn't matter anymore like what day I do the work on. Like I find that I'm working a lot over the course of the weekends.
Okay.
But I don't feel bad because at the same time, like you start the work week and the work week really doesn't get started until like I mean, the week gets started, but like the day doesn't get started till like 9 o'clock. So like you could sleep in, or I don't sleep in, but I just like get up and just chill or whatever, or this.
Get that jack on, yes, boo.
But like the day doesn't really get started till like 9 and 10 o'clock. So it doesn't matter. But I am getting a lot more work. I'm doing a lot more work.
So nice. I wish because the company I work for is in the health field, so like there is no like slowing down for us. Like our services help a lot of these hospitals, SNFs, and stuff like that stay open. So like we're in business. Like it's just a regular ass day. So homegirl is still waking up and clocking in at 6:30 every fucking morning, like it's nobody's business. But then like I'm done at like 2:30, 3 o'clock, and I'm like. Yeah. Fuck, now I have all this time to do absolutely nothing. Like, I wish I could start at 9 and then, like, worked until, like, 5 or 6 p.m. or something like that. Because then I'll just have a couple of... This fine man walks past this window every goddamn day.
Didn't she just get finished saying that she's been less sexual?
Right. It's so funny on that regard. Like, yes, I'm working on a shit ton.
I would say he's fine.
Back to the fine man. Corey and I did a drive. What's it? Like you said, the days just blur. I think it was Sunday, maybe Saturday. No, it was last Saturday. And because just to get out the house, just drive around the city, nothing to do, just get in the car, go, and come right back home. But we went through the neighborhood, and parts of the neighborhood is still booked and busy. We're just sad to say, Atlanta. But we know that the governor has already tried to reopen the state, so that's part of it. But anyway, there were some cute boys out, and I was like, oh my God, I forgot about just looking at cute boys around the city. And Corey was like, I know, right? I was like, oh my God. Like, I literally go to the grocery store maybe once every 2 weeks, and that's it. I stay my ass in the crib. I go to maybe the front porch. We maybe walk the dog. Corey walks the dog more than I just because of pollen and everything. I have been so diligent about staying my ass in the fucking crib.
Right.
And that I have forgotten that. I was like, man, I haven't seen anyone other than my sexy husband. I love my husband. Well, it's nice to, candy shop with your eyes a little bit out in the...
They ain't broken. Flex on them. Flex on them.
And so literally, and then there's like this one guy walking with like shorts off and this shirt off and abs and everything bulging. We're like, and Corey's like, look at that guy up there. I was like, yes, boo. I'm like, you need to drive around the city some more.
Was he thick?
No, actually, this one, he wasn't that thick. He was maybe 5'10".
Oh.
And honestly, when we got up closer to him, he was older than we thought too. We were like, damn, his body's just all the way together. Go ahead, girl. Because he was probably in his 50s. Once we got up close, you could kind of tell in the face, but the body looked like a 20-year-old. And I was like, damn.
Look, unless they walk past the window, like if I leave, I ain't checking for nobody because everyone got the damn Rona as far as I'm concerned. So I'd be like, right down, but like, nope, not gonna get me. But I do find
we weren't outside, so
right. My friend posted this photo on Facebook, and it was like somewhere in like Arizona or like one of like the Grand Canyons, whatever. And it was like, I haven't seen a dick in so long that this picture got me seeing things.
Oh, it was Jim. See,
bitch.
I saw that too, and it got me too. And I was like, okay.
I saw it right away. I was just like, oh no.
That's the thing. It's just like, you asked about just feeling more sexual. Like, it depends on the day. There's still like those days where I'm like, but then there's other days where I'm like, come
on, Lady Gaga.
Won't your bad romance? Well, there's other days where I'm like, ooh, let me see what's on IG. Ooh, let me see what's on this OnlyFans. Ooh, let me see what's on whatever it may be. So it's like this weird roller coaster. Usually I'm pretty consistent, like, okay, either I'm going to jerk off, we're going to fuck, whatever it may be. But it's been this weird waves of horniness or whatever, for lack of better words, that's like not the same as it was pre-COVID.
So question. Have you opened an OnlyFans?
Wait. You asking all these questions, but you ain't answering shit. Look, don't be hanging us out to dry, sis.
What is it to talk about?
Too. Look,
didn't I already look? I spilled the tea.
He did say his jerk game is strong right now.
Look, don't
right.
come for us, sis, unless she sends for you, because she spills the tea. She keeps all the everything.
I'm just saying, I'm spilling so damn fast.
I have to stop the show to share my business, so I'm not going to ask if I'm not going to share.
Oh, that's right. Okay. What were you about to ask though?
Have you joined like the OnlyFans community? Are you following anybody?
Oh, hell yeah. I said it the last couple of episodes because them discounts are quite nice.
Who are you following?
Oh, God, I don't know their names. I just know they dick. Oh, ow.
Oh, ow.
Pew, 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 pew.
Actually, I only followed one person, and I followed it because it was free. And even then, it was, man, and I was just like, I don't know, like, I just don't have the time to go to another website to, like, look for stuff like that. OnlyFans just seems like more work.
It is more work.
And on top of that, it's like, you don't always, I guess, like, see the content that you want, and so you got to pay for it. So it's not like a Tumblr, where Tumblr you can.
They just show it. You be scrolling, you're like, oh damn.
Day, when Tumblr was that thing, you could scroll and you can follow pages that showed the type of stuff that you were interested in. Right. But now with OnlyFans, it seems like you have to like subscribe to certain people, and you have to hope that they give you the type of content that you're wanting and look for.
I'm gonna give you tidbits.
Or you have to because I was reading this article about how you have to message them, and then they like in there, I don't know how it works, but I guess there's like a DM version, and then they'll respond back to you, and then you can pay specifically for what you want to see.
And I don't do all that.
No, that's just saying too much work.
Just keep my coins in my pocket. So if it's like $3, $4, I'm like, I go for that, because that in my mind I'm like, okay, that's the drinks I'm not having at the bar right now.
Fair, definitely fair.
And so I'm like, okay, I go for that. Mm-hmm. But and I almost showed it on the screen, but I forgot we on YouTube, so I don't want YouTube kicking us off.
I saw you put that phone down.
I put my phone down.
I thought you put it down, and I was like, oh shit, show it.
I'm about to do like the beauty community. But a lot of times how I even find them is like on obviously IG. You know, you be scrolling, be like, oh, okay, he cute. Oh, okay, and it's more over time where I'm like, okay, if they come out with OnlyFans, I might check this shit out. And what I do is I look to see how many videos and pictures they post, because sometimes they're like, oh, spend $20, and they only posted like 5 pictures. I'm like, bitch, no, you posted everything I needed to see on Twitter then. But if they got like hundreds, I'm like, oh, that means they doing their due diligence and making sure that we get. Seriously,
she counting pennies over here. She's like if you don't get all 99 of these pennies, right? You best believe.
It's kind of like how we said, I think during the superlatives episode, we were like, oh, Dewan would be the one, be like, oh, I'm just gonna show a shoulder, and I'm gonna post here and there.
Yes, exactly.
Not paying my coins for that bullshit. But yeah, I'm doing my homework. Fuck.
But the killer part about it is like okay, so I came this close. Like this close.
No pun intended.
Well, she always finishes.
I was just about to say it.
But I came this close. I was like, nah, I'm not gonna do that. And but like a lot of the people that are on OnlyFans are promoting themselves on Twitter, and 9 times out of 10, they basically show what they want you to subscribe for on Twitter. So I'm like, well,
yeah. The only thing that gets me with some of them that do that though is, oh God, I'm about to put all my business out there. Hold on, I'll be forgetting.
Ain't got nothing else but time and opportunity.
Everybody be listening. I'm like, oh God. But for me, what I like.
Let me pull out this scroll.
Right. No, mine is very actually easy. No pun intended. It's like I like the cum shot. And a lot of times, if they're promoting themselves on OnlyFans, they'll get right up to the end and they'll cut off. And you're like, bitch, like, that's the part I wanted to say. And so, if it's those, but I only follow like 4. I'm only like 4 or 5 on OnlyFans. And after that, and I don't think there's been one that I like let roll over to the next month even. Because I'm like, okay, I saw what I need to see, got the fantasy out, whatever it may be. I'm good. Twitter's where I go now. Twitter's lit.
See, that's another reason why I'm not on Twitter as much, because I know Twitter, like, if you go on someone's page, you can see what they liked and people that they follow and shit like that.
There's a trick.
Get that burner.
But that's why I was about to say that's why you get 2 accounts. But again, that's
you have 2. One that's professional, so LinkedIn, and then you have your other one for all of your
exactly your
Googling and Googling.
She ain't got time for all that. That is just too.
It's not hard.
It's not that much.
It's like how you do on IG. You do it now for Minority Report, going between the 2 accounts. It's literally the same thing on Twitter. It's like you hold it down, click the account, and you're good to go.
Because like I have another one, but I don't post anything. Like I don't post anything. I don't share anything. I just that's all I do.
Get the little jerk out and be like, okay, back to work.
See, honestly, I don't jerk to Twitter though.
Oh really? There's some good ones.
There's some accounts. Okay.
I just can't like Instagram and Twitter is just I just can't. And I think that's just because I'm a coach and I just know that like I just know professionally for like school and like people that are coached and stuff like that. It just freaks me out that the fact that they could possibly see any of that shit. So I'm just like, no. I'm gonna keep it PG-13 as possible.
Wait, so where do you go? You go to like Tumblr?
No, I don't use any of that.
You just use your imagination and the guy that keeps walking past your window. Imagination.
Yeah, I don't know. I just yeah.
You got some of them old 1979 VHS tapes.
Right. She got them like the Circus of Books.
All I'm gonna say is I shared
that Jeff Stryker doll.
I shared my information at the beginning of this episode. Okay, I don't need any of those things.
She says she's like I got all 8.
She got 11. She got 11 pieces of equipment.
So back to the dildos. I guess
She's good.
Second episode. We 40 minutes in and still talking about this shit. So for the dildos, do you care? Okay, hold up. Couple questions. Do you like the ones that have like the suction cups where you can like control the moment, or
No.
Okay, so you don't like do you like the ones that have the vibration in them?
Mm-mm.
So you just like the ones that are just free willy nilly? Do you care about the color of the dildo? I know some people care.
No, I don't care about
that
the
there's
color.
not enough representation of black dildos and white dildos and da da da. You don't care about the color. You just care about the size and the length.
I was gonna say one thing.
Say, girl.
But because I don't want to stereotype. I'm not gonna say. I was gonna say the size.
Right.
Lets me know where my mind is. That's all I was ever gonna say. But some people, are blessed as well. And some people have opportunity. But no, I was just this is too much. Now this is too much. I don't even know how the fuck we got here. I can never use them on myself.
Got it. So you need your partner to aid the situation.
Exactly. It's something that I share with my partner. I will only use them if my partner is into using them. Otherwise, they just sit there and they just take up dust.
Okay. All right.
Community, we gonna ask you too. We gonna put this shit on IG and IG story. So we wondering for everybody. We spilling our tea. Spill your tea too, girl.
Girl, all the tea. Damn, I ain't spilled that much in a long time. It's been a long time since I spilled that much. God damn.
The community be listening to this. They turn everything down and turn this up.
Right.
They start leaning in. They'll be pulling off to the side of the road. Like they get all this tea, and then all we ask for, hey, you want to do an intro for us?
And they don't do shit. Exactly.
Like damn.
Huh.
Somebody on a conference call right now listening to this, but not focusing.
Right. And speaking of intros, please send us your intros. Send us your Ask Your Aunties. We need to restockpile our intros and Ask Your Aunties. We're getting
for real. We're getting short. Like we're low, y'all. So if y'all can hook us up with some intros, ask your family, get creative. Like Dewan and Crow keep saying all the time. We all quarantine. You ain't got nothing else to do unless you're in Georgia, Tennessee, or Texas. Then you should still have nothing to do and be staying at home. But back to the point, which is you're at home. Send us to Ask Your Auntie, an intro, like for real. Come on now.
Come on, help us out. We see our numbers, so we know not everybody that listens to the podcast has done the intro, and so if you listen to every week,
know that.
Come on, send us an intro so you could. If you DM us, make sure you record it to your phone first, then send it, not just within the IG because we can't save that shit. So just putting that out there. So you can do that or email us at aya@minorityReport.com and we'll get that shit and you'll be intro on the show. So come on, help us out. But in the meantime, we don't talk to all that business. We got to get to Ask Your Aunties. So what time is it?
Ask your
Auntie. All right, I already have it up here.
Can I just say that I love that we're giving Rhythm Nation right now. With our black shirt, with our black hats. 5, 4, 3. Right?
Music by your side. Don't break the color line. All right, that's
goodness.
What's the question?
I have it up. Okay, I just don't see if it says it's from anonymous or not.
I feel like it might be too dark in my room. It got dark outside. It looks like it's about to storm. Let me turn some more light on.
Okay, so this is from Garris. And Garris says, ever since I was younger, a lot of the white media looked down on ghetto nature of Black people. They viewed us as less than because of our over-the-top personalities, the twang that we put on our words, and how in your face we are with our opinions. But now these white influencers are trying to capitalize on that very thing. The gays love to act like they have a Black woman trapped in their damn bodies. And the Woe Beckys, I think it's actually Woe Vicky, and Landa Romanos of the world are trying to be us so bad, it makes me sick. What do you think about it? And how do you feel this kind of behavior will be checked for our friends and these influencers?
That's a lot to unpack.
You got suitcases, get to packing.
Come on, Erykah Badu.
Okay.
Bag lady.
Come on, bag lady.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's a lot to unpack. Just because, I don't even know who all these influencers you're talking about are. But the ones I've seen, especially when it comes to I'm going to talk specifically about TikTok because honestly, the base of that, or at least the foundation of that social media account to go viral is that, like, say if you're a black person and you say something funny, that's like the original thing, and then it gives you the capability of, say, your next door neighbor miming what you just did. And a lot of times people will take that and be like, oh, he's appropriating when he said it, especially like when it comes to like slang and some of the body movements and things like that. Like, that's the point of TikTok in a weird way. But part of me too is just like, hopefully you know the background of, say, like, I think last week we were talking about like a lot of the slangs within the cheer world come from Black queer culture, which, and even for the Black queer culture, a lot of it comes from our Black women. So we need to play homage to them as well, because we steal a lot from our moms and
Black
and
women,
everything.
yes,
So we got to make sure we put that out there.
Speak on it.
But for me, part of the time is like, as long as you know the history and you're doing it as almost maybe a tribute and you're not claiming it as your own, I sometimes don't have too big of an issue. And obviously it's case by case. And sometimes you could clearly see, nope, they're doing that to mock our community or mock our situation, et cetera, versus pay homage or just trying to have fun and things like that. So TikTok, a lot of times for me, makes it a little hard to know that line, because even the foundation of like a TikTok is based off of that. Is to learn all the dances that are out there, is to learn the funny situations and do the mocks and the mimes and things like that, because literally you click on it and you do it, you know? So I don't know. And I'm interested to hear you guys' opinion. I probably already know Jarrell's, but I'm interested to see.
Why you know mine?
Because you got that look on your face.
What?
She about to cut a bitch.
I wasn't saying nothing.
But yeah, like it's hard for me sometimes, especially with the social media accounts, to know that line. But I still feel like a lot of times you can trust your gut and know in that situation their intent behind it, you know?
Yeah. I feel like a little conflicted. I know we talked a little bit about this before we even started, but like this concept of like white people stealing from Black people culture has been going on since they brought us over here from Africa.
That's a true statement.
You know, so like, you know, like, and the fact that they as a large culture can disassociate their quote unquote stealing of our and appropriating from our culture, but also looking down on us is like one of the biggest mysteries to me, at least. I still can't reconcile like how is it that you want to steal, you know, like our dance moves and then come out with fucking Elvis Presley, you know, like you want to steal our music and claim it as your own, you know, and you know, like that, but then also ridicule us for the things that you are taking from us, you know, like, and we're living in this world now where, you know, with lip injections and cheek injections and butt implants and whatnot, like you have these women that are emulating just natural Black bodies that have been existing for the longest time. Like if you look at like the 90s and the early 2000s, you know, everybody was trying to be thin. Everybody needed to be super thin. And that was like the epitome of like whiteness in terms of like physical beauty, you know, but now all of a sudden, you know, because of the Kim Kardashians of the world and whatever, and this kind of like, I'm following this influencers, you know, like appropriation or their style that they're jacking off of our community. Like now all of a sudden everybody want big ass lips and big old titties and big old asses. Like, and it's like, you know, like I struggle with like, what is appreciation and what is appropriation?
Exactly.
Because when we're talking about TikTok, well, TikTok is you're emulating and affecting something for the purpose of blah, blah, blah. So that's entertainment. Right. That's a whole other thing.
Right.
You know, but like when I think of like, what's her name? Badass baby,
Bad Bunny,
Bad Barbie, Booty Barbie.
Alexa.
You know, the Cash Me Outside girl.
Bad Bunny or something like that.
Whatever. But like part of me can't hate on, like, you can hate on a person's personality because it's stank, because she has a stank personality, right? But like I don't have the same kind of hate for like her, what some people would call appropriation of Black culture. She just got in hot water, 2 weeks ago for showing up darker on her Instagram or her socials or whatever, you know, like with darker filters so that she looks more Black than she does white. And she's alabaster white. Like, not just like regular white. She's like, if she walks out in the sun and there's like a peak of a sun ray, she's burnt, right?
Yeah.
So, but then I don't feel the same like disdain for someone who clearly she grew up in and around black people.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to say that, but you know, she grew up in that kind of life. But then you have like Tom Hanks' son, who grew up in fucking, you know, Bel Air,
Calabasas.
next to Will Smith, you know, and he's talking patois. And like, I feel a certain kind of way about that because again, like there's that fine line of like appreciation, appropriation. And it's like, so where's that line?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, and I will say, like, personally for me, Dewan, you hit it like right on the head. Like, I'm very conflicted as well because I know some white people who grew up in the ghetto and grew up in the hood like I did, you know, and it's not them pretending to be anything. We grew up in the same nurture, like the same nature. So that is who they are, you know. But then I also know, like you just pointed at Tom Hanks' son, people who grew up on fucking farms or in fucking mansions and shit like that, acting like they got these struggles and they've been through what we've been through and want to appropriate and act like and be like us when you got all these other fucking opportunities that you're wasting, you know. And a part of me found myself getting mad because it's just like majority of us would love to have had the opportunities that you have, that instead of using your time to mock us or imitate us. Like, our lives would be completely different if we had the fucking, you know, parents who had millions of dollars and you had a fucking, what's they call it? Like a fucking trust fund and all the rest of that shit. Like, our lives would be completely fucking different. You know, we are now at a point in life where a lot of Black folks are really starting to understand investing into our family and our coin, and, you know, and having that type of capability to afford to do that without sacrificing themselves, you know? So when I see appropriation, it fucking pisses me off because it's like, you just don't get it, you know? With TikTok, I find myself trying not to get too upset, but I do get upset when you see that white person who is constantly using the Black voices to get the TikTok fame. Like, if you are deliberately using the POC voiceovers or actions or whatever to try to be TikTok famous, then you are appropriating. I don't give a fuck about what the purpose of TikTok is, because there are so many other things that you can be doing on there to try to be TikTok famous. You keep choosing the same group of people to appropriate,
I think that goes
which
back
is
to that
us.
intent behind it. It's just like, if your intent isn't pure, and I'd like to think a lot of times we could figure that out by a person's actions. Like you said, like if you on that account you continue to see them utilizing cultural things that aren't their own, that kind of tells you what their intent is, and that they are more appropriating than really appreciating, because they know they could steal it and become viral or famous or whatever.
The truth is, white people got to do twice as work. They got to do twice the amount of work. If you are going to put yourself in a sense where, especially like TikTok, where you're going to use the Black experience to become Instagram famous, you also need to be doing something to give towards the Black community at the same time. You got to do twice the amount of work. You don't just to get by just getting famous by using us to get to where you need to go. Fucking be making sure that you're bringing us with you, or you're aiding to our struggles while you are benefiting from our struggles. You got to do twice as much work. Period.
Yeah, I feel like one of the underrated skills that Black people bring to the table is our ability in linguistics.
Read a bitch.
Well, broader than that, it's language. You know, like we will give a nickname to a nickname. You know what I mean? In a heartbeat. Right. And that shit catches on. And like, you know, oh, that's my, you know, like first it was Corona, then it was, you know, it was Corona 19, then it was Corona, then it was a Rona, and then it was a Riri, and it was like that, you know, like it iterates. And that is one of the beautiful things about our culture. Like we take something and take it to the next level. And you just don't see that, in our white counterparts as much. Like, nobody's appropriating radical, and that's awesome. Like,
but then let us take like radical and tubular and stuff, and we made that shit ill as fuck.
Right. we'll take the most mayonnaise sounding whatever and turn it into something fly. And like I can under facts. Look, we took that mayo and we made deviled eggs. How about that?
Fact. Okay.
Our potato salad. Come on now. But so I can understand the envy. I can understand the envy and want to be a part of it. It's just, I don't know. I struggle a little bit with where do you draw the line? Like where do you draw where do we as a society say that it is, like, forget about what your intentions are, because the reality of it is that perception is 9/10 of the law. So if people perceive your actions, whatever it is your intentions were, it don't matter. If they perceive it in a certain kind of way, that's what it is. And it don't matter what your intentions are. So then it becomes a dialogue. It becomes a conversation. It becomes awareness, So I don't know. I don't know
where that line is. I really don't either.
Because like, everything ain't for everybody. And that's, I think, what people need to learn while people are trying. It's great that you may find, the Black culture, enticing and fun and, like, entertaining. You want to be a part of it, but it ain't yours. And so some certain things about it you just don't get to experience and be a part of. And that's just how it is. Like, there are certain parts about being who you are, no matter what your ethnicity is, that other people cannot experience because they are not said ethnicity.
Go ahead.
Oh, I agree to an extent to that. For me, it's just like, that's the case because we know that everyone doesn't have equal opportunity. I think the day that everyone has equal opportunity that comes out of all situations, that is the day that, honestly, we don't care about appropriation. But we know that's not the case.
Right.
And so that's why it's so upsetting, because we know if we did the exact same thing, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be harder for us.
Like these fucking riots.
It's going to be hard for us to go viral. It's going to be hard for us to monetize from it. It's going to be hard for us to sell it. It's just, right now, it's still harder for Black and brown communities to monetize as much off of the things that we create than our white counterparts that take it and then go off and do something. Yeah. So that's probably the hard part, that when Jarrell says that everything is not for everyone, because we want to be able to own something and monetize and claim something as our own so we can grow. And so, honestly, if there was ever a day, literally everything we knew that if I sold this and I was going to get $100 and you sold this and you were going to get $100, awesome. There's no such thing as appropriation anymore, because we're going to gain the same experience financially, emotionally, etc. But that's not the case. And so that's why it's so upsetting still.
And here's where we flip the script, because I'm also conflicted on what we do. Because think about it, as Black and brown people, we are so quick to put somebody on. We're so quick to include somebody. So it's like, it's hard to say this isn't part of you, or you can't be a part of this because it's not your struggle, because we'll be the same ones that'll say, oh, Aaron, let me show you about these cornrows. Let me, we don't say, that, we say this, or let me show you how to do this dance, and like we'll be so quick to put them on. And let somebody have some rhythm. The very first thing that Black people say is he's invited to the barbecue. You know what I mean? So it's like, and I'm not saying that invalidates, like, what you were saying, Jarrell. It's like, it's just, that's what just makes it so complicated, because I think at the end of the day, we, in our heart of hearts, I'll speak for myself, I want for people to be included in the very parts of Black culture that I get to experience, and be able to experience it and love it and appreciate it for all its beauty that it's worth. But at the same time, there's also like people that dive into it particularly for, selfish reasons, or, financial reasons, or whatever, that are less disingenuous. It's more stealing from our culture than really appreciating the culture.
And how tearing us down after the fact. And
at the same damn time.
It's just like, you can't steal and then monetize from it or whatever, viral, emotionally, financially, and then tear the community down that you stole from. And I think that's part of the line right there that we've seen time and time again, like the Elvis Presleys and things like that over time, where you're just like, oh shit, you literally just stole the whole blues from us and did not like say, oh, I got this from old boy down the street, or old boy down the street, come with me.
And Little Richard been screaming from the top of his lungs for the last 50 years, about how, they didn't stole everything from him.
And we've always said, like, the gentrification of R&B. We see it, like, literally the popular singers now are doing R&B. And so people say R&B is dead. No, the hell
it's
not.
That's why I laughed about the Ariana Grande part. That's why I laughed about that. But, like, that's the thing, like, kind of what Dewan was saying, like, I mean, I don't think there's an issue with when Black people put other people onto it, because I agree with you. Like, I want everyone to understand, because part of understanding that is understanding me.
Give it to me, baby.
So, but like you said, if you are taking it and rewrapping it or re-gifting it like it's fucking Christmas to give to someone else as your own, that ain't cool. Like at all whatsoever.
Like box braids.
And right. And then also not box braids. But to also at the same time not even acknowledge that if you can do that with my experience and be okay, but I can't do it with your experience and it wouldn't be okay, then you should not be doing it, period. And that's where I get, like, I think about these fucking riots, like, and everyone writing about, like, oh, open up the country. If you would have saw fucking Black men marching down for Black Lives Matter when all of these beautiful brown people were getting fucking murdered with fucking assault rifles, there would have been a fucking bloodbath every fucking where. The fact that not one person was fucking arrested, okay? There was no fucking police riots or any of the short like that. I am so pissed. So pissed. But guess what? Guess who's going to be that main bitch next time something happened and we want to gather? I wish a motherfucker would be like, oh, you blocking the goddamn ambulance. Because guess what you were doing in Michigan? Blocking the fucking road right outside the fucking goddamn hospital. Bitch, with your motherfucking disciple ass rifle.
But two things though. I mean, just real talk.
Someone else take the mic.
Woosah.
But two things though about the riot stuff, and we all know this: you can't take Black people nowhere because somebody about to do some shit that they're not supposed to do.
And then we might all be like remix God or something, and then we're gonna be over here coming with new dances for the shit. Man, we can't act right for the world. Oh Lord. Jesus. Come on. Shaka Khan. Who is Shaka Khan?
And then like these like these little protests or whatever had, like maybe 25 people. And the best that they could do, in addition to having like
hundreds, there were thousands.
They were huge. They were like in Wisconsin. There were a fucking lot of people at these capitals. There were a lot of people. Not even social distancing, but still showing up with fucking masks. You got a mask on, bitch. So that tells us that you believe in it. That you know that the coronavirus
and it also shows us that it's not about the Rona.
That's the killer part. That's the killer part. Yeah.
It's about opening up the community. It's about opening up society so you can send us poor people, us brown and Black and other ethnicities back to fucking work to do majority of these goddamn jobs, and let us be the guinea pigs that run this country and keep it afloat. Because guess what? Without us, what you got? How your business operate?
So I'm just going to ratchet that up because I don't think that that's the intent of like these people that are actually doing the protests. No. Like you don't like the people.
Some of them are.
I don't think that's the real. I don't think that's the real intent. I think the people that want people to go back to work are really the billionaires and millionaires that own these companies that they know that they.
Funny that they started doing this shit after the fucking news said that it was attacking the Black and brown communities more than the white communities. Yeah. It's very fucking convenient that that's when this shit started happening.
That's true.
Yeah. So.
Jarrell on the box today. He on that box.
So I don't think that the vast majority of the people that are attending that are attending for that purpose. I honestly think that the people that are showing up for these kinds of things are the same MAGA whatevers
that don't like us. Right. They still don't care.
It's a whole other thing. It's a racial thing. That's really what it is. It's an opportunity for them to get together as a congregation and show off, their under the blanket of MAGA, which is really what it is. Under the blanket of MAGA and the Second Amendment, it's an opportunity for them to show get some kind of attention for their issues that matter to them. They don't really give a shit about
anybody else.
The impact of our healthcare workers, our first responders. It's really those two issues. White people in this world that are the base of Trump's base are worried that more Black and brown people are basically having more equal rights, and they're not the pinnacle, quote unquote, as if these hillbillies in fucking bumfuck Alabama have ever been like the pinnacle of what we aspire to. Because you look at the people that are protesting, they ain't cute, they ain't rich, they ain't nothing. They fat, ugly, and singing what was that video? They were singing MAGA to YMCA. Did you see that?
They was not.
Wait, what?
Yes.
They were saying what?
They were singing MAGA to YMCA.
YMCA. You haven't seen this video?
No, I don't want to see it.
I don't even want to
send
see
it to me. I'm good.
But
I just gonna look. I don't like to stare. I don't like to box people in, but it's gonna make me want to slap the next white person I see. So keep that video away from me.
So like the underlying issue of these protests has really nothing to do with going back to work.
Do they know that that's a gay anthem? A lot of people don't realize YMCA is about cruising the YMCA.
I don't know that they have. I don't know that they know that.
So it's like you hate LGBT, you hate other ethnicities a lot of the time. Right. You hate people taking your guns.
Right.
Singing MAGA to YMCA, which is literally the most coded song ever created because it was about cruising the YMCA back in the day.
Right. You have all these men singing MAMA or MAGA.
Which goes back to the question then. A lot of people, for me, a lot of times the line is if you don't know the cultural history of something,
don't use it.
You might need to stay away from it because, yes, on the outside it might be glitzy and glamour, but there a lot of times behind a lot of these cultural norms, there is a back history of why it became a cultural norm. Or why people are singing songs this way or doing whatever it may be. If you don't understand that, that's the line for me then, probably. Because you need to know.
You could also understand history and don't give a shit about the history.
That's true too. But a lot of times they haven't.
So that I think that's the line of intention, right? Absolutely. So if you don't know the history, then you're unaware. It's just like exactly. So it's just like our language around transsexuals have changed literally within the last 5 years.
Transgender.
Exactly. Yeah. So. There was a term that was used, like I've been watching all these old reruns of, Law and Order SVU, and every once in a while they'll have a transgender person on there. And I'm watching this, this does not age well at all. The language that they're using. There was an episode where they outed, a transgendered woman to her boyfriend.
It doesn't age well at all.
So, I think that's where the line is drawn. If you are unaware of the history and the nuance and the background that supports that thing and you're doing it, then it's a matter of ignorance and it's a learning opportunity. But and that still doesn't make it right because you are ignorant and you're doing something wrong. Right. And you need to be called on it and educated. But then and hopefully you're willing to learn from that.
Know better, do better. Exactly.
And then the other part is if you know better and you don't do better.
Yeah, and you sideline on that too.
And
honestly, a lot of times to me, that's almost worse. I mean,
it is worse.
Lesser of the evil sometimes when it comes to these things, but it is worse if you don't want to do better when you know better. Then what you do? What you're doing?
Come on. We talked about this last week, but those teens that did that TikTok video, that went viral or whatever. I won't repeat what they did, but they knew better. And they chose not to. This isn't I don't know the history of the black culture, and that I didn't think that this would be.
I don't know the history of the N-word, bitch. Yes, you do.
Yes, you do.
Bye. Right. Exactly. Or otherwise, it would not have been so prevalent that you made a whole goddamn TikTok about it.
Right. Fact. You never would have checked for it to begin with.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you, Garris, for the Ask Your Auntie question. I know we gave you quite the answer today. I hope we were able to help you and those who are listening. But we, again, make sure you send in your Ask Your Aunties, and also like let us know what you think as far as the Ask Your Auntie this week too. Let us know in your DMs and your comments when we post about it this week too. Because there's a lot to it, and we would love to hear everyone else's opinion on it too. So go looking out.
And we'll do better about posting a lot of these Ask Your Aunties back on IG. Like we kind of forget, to be honest. To be all the way honest. But we definitely want to hear you guys' responses on it, and we'll do better on that part. So
can we talk about Insecure?
Yes.
Yeah. Can we just take a moment to talk about Insecure? We got all the way. How far are we to this episode?
Hour 12.
Right. Can I go first? Because I'm excited. Because I watched this by myself, so I don't have no one to talk to while I watch this.
Okay.
So they need a friendship break. I think Molly and Issa need a friendship break. Okay. Well, and the reason being is because I think they're just. Oh, I don't want to put my sister business out there like this. But
here's the thing. For episode number 1 of this season, they said the very first thing Issa said was, "I'm not fucking with Molly no more." So we know that a break is coming.
Right. But I mean, but at this point, like it for sure needs to happen. I have known this to be more common for a lot of like more so with Black women, like with my sisters and some of my cousins. I've seen them have relationships or go through this more than I've seen with other friends. And other
female friends, or it doesn't matter?
Well, other female friends and other people in general. And I think because there becomes a sisterhood that a lot of that I've seen like Black women tend to have, just from being able to relate from one Black woman to another Black woman, that you find yourself be like, oh, hey girl, like it happens quite often. We see it happening with what's her name?
Condola.
Yes, and Issa, like you see that happening now with her. Like you have like a shared experience and you find yourself just gravitating towards that person. And what ends up happening is the two people end up growing in different directions. Instead of trying to talk about it and be like, hey sis, my path is starting to go this way and your path is going this way, you end up fighting and nitpicking about things more so than you do actually talking about things. Like I've noticed my sisters, and after talking to them, I'm like, hey, well, have you talked to your homegirl, your best friend of like fucking 15 years about what's going on? No, but I just feel this way. I was like, communication, like you have to talk about it. It's something that we see in our community, that in the Black community, we don't talk about our feelings a lot. Like that vulnerability thing is something that we are not, or a lot of us weren't conditioned to learn how to be able to do. Mm-hmm. So when you start feeling hurt, you end up shutting down, and then you end up building that resentment, and you find yourself hurting somebody.
Yeah.
I related so much to that, because I was like, man, there's been times where not a lot of times, but there's been one time when I had a really good friend and he did me wrong. And instead of being like, I didn't like what you did or what you said, I just stopped talking to the person.
Mm-hmm. They call that ghosting now.
Right. That's what they call it now. But, and so I really saw like that struggle between them. I was like, man, that's real. Mm-hmm. It's like, how do you talk to someone that you care about something that's hurting you and that's really personal without hurting them? And you're not dating, so you don't owe this person necessarily to say this, but because you care on them from a different platform or different level, you still kind of owe them that, if that's how you value the friendship to begin with.
There's still an emotional growth even within friendships.
Yeah.
That we have to mold and grow and over time. And honestly, just as much as we can grow and change within our actual, like with our partners and husbands and everything, the same thing within friendship groups. And like you said, sometimes you don't want to hurt them, but you not expressing the situation is not only hurting the relationship, is hurting you even more now, because you're gonna hold that pent up like animosity, and it's gonna either like explode at the wrong times, and when it's really not about the current thing you're arguing about, it's like this over this history kind of thing that you have not even said shit about.
And you're like, how was I supposed to know? Like, damn.
Exactly.
I do feel like there's, so I have a statement and then a question for you guys. Or an observation and a question. My observation is that I really appreciated how this whole conversation kicked off between Issa and Molly in the supermarket, because we saw the very first episode of the season that she said, "Oh, I'm not fucking with Molly anymore." So we knew that some shit was going to happen. And now, like, with each episode, they're showing, like, 3 months before the festival, 2 months before the festival, I think is where we're at right now. So, like, we're seeing kind of like things building up to, like, what we know is going to be a crescendo or a crossroads within their relationship. And hopefully we'll see if that will be a cliffhanger leading us to the next season or whatever. And so my observation of it is that oftentimes with a lot of our relationships, and I'm 100% part of this, sometimes you don't even know that you're on a different path until you're already on that path and you've made a certain amount of changes. So what I appreciated was, I think, and this is what I want to ask you guys, I think what I got out of that was when they were having that dialogue in the Whole Foods, it was like, oh, I know that aisle. Oh, I know that aisle. Okay.
Clocked it real quick.
Because I was like, oh, they got some really good groceries.
She got money, because I ain't checking for no Whole Foods. I ain't got no Whole Food coins, so.
I'm like, oh, that ain't Kroger. That ain't Walmart.
Okay, look, that ain't a Safeway. I didn't know that.
Oh, that ain't Aldi.
Look, I don't see a near 3 for $10 sign on any of those products, okay?
And I can afford Whole Foods, and I still don't go to Whole Foods.
Same, okay.
But we digress.
Right.
But we digress. So what I appreciated about that exchange was, you can feel it. Like, the acting was so good, even in that little moment. It was like 7 minutes of an interaction.
She was like, I feel like you're coming for me, bitch. I feel you coming for me.
And they said right after that, was like, things had been off.
Yeah.
And I don't think that they really recognized it until that moment. Like, they may have felt it, but I don't think they really recognized that things were really off to do
I think they recognized it. They didn't want to, like they were saying, didn't want to hurt their feelings.
This is my question to you.
Yeah. Oh, what's the question?
Number 2.
Yeah. What's the question?
She jumping the gun.
She's been jumping over here hopscotching.
I don't know the question.
Right. If you would listen, girl, I will get there.
Well, hurry up then.
So, like, the exchange between the two was really poignant in bringing that to light. And what you were talking about, Jarrell, is it's really important for people to have that kind of conversation, but sometimes we're not introspective enough to know, like, what the thing is bothering us to be able to have the conversation. So my question is, do you think that those two have recognized at this point in the series, 3 episodes in, have recognized on their own that things have been off and know why they are off, but they're ignoring it? Or do you think that they're still discovering what is off and are trying a solution for it? That's the question. I'm going to
let Corel go first because she couldn't let you answer your question first. So I'm about
She took all day to answer the damn question. But,
I was fine, but
I think it's a little bit of both, honestly. I think they know it's off. I think for a while they didn't want to hurt each other's feelings, saying that it's off. But I think in that moment they're just like, you know what, bitch, you steady trying me right now. I can't take it anymore. Something's off. So I think that in that moment they were ready to finally call it out for what it is. And I think they've known it for a while. And that was like just the final straw for them to just be like, okay, I got to say something because you're getting on my nerves today, kind of thing. Which is good. Like, a lot of times people are scared to do that. And I think they were scared for the last whatever month or 2 months, whatever the time frame was in the show. Do they know exactly why it's off? Yes and no. Like, I think it's just an evolution over time. Certain things, certain pride, certain whatever was annoying me, but it didn't annoy me that bad today. Then a year later, that shit is really starting to bother me a little bit, but okay, whatever. I'll look over it. And I think now they're at a point where, like, it's just a hodgepodge of stuff over the years that I didn't agree with, that I just never spoke up. And it's really starting to piss me the fuck off at this point now.
What's really interesting, what's really interesting is that if you go back to season 1, they had always took jabs at each other. So this behavior is not new. Because remember, broken pussy?
The first episode,
broken pussy. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious, what do you think?
So I think they know what the issue is. And I think that they are avoiding it. And I think you see it because in the end of the episode, Issa was like, can we talk about another day? You know, like instead of talking about it right then and there, they were like, "Oh, let's talk about it after pie on Thanksgiving." Like, you ain't talking about that
You
shit
ain't
after
doing
that.
that on
Like,
right.
like you ain't about to kill the fucking mood like that. And then for her to be like, like for Molly to hit Issa with that "you do you, girl," like that was the
Passive
dismissive,
aggressive
like,
as fuck.
passive, be like, but
And she put the
whatever.
period after that too.
Yeah, right. And then for then Issa to be like, "Can we talk about it another time?" Like, I think they both are aware of how things are going, and I think it is a friendship break, and it's one of those things where they're I think they both know it, and I think they're both sad because it's not what it's going to be like before. I think they will be friends. I think how their friendship is going to be is just going to change, which means they are going to have to watch how they just talk to each other, and they're going to have to change their view of how they see each other, like Molly feels some kind of way by Issa being like, "Oh, you don't want to Molly him again, and scare him away, like Molly scared him away, with the old Molly." And you saw her in the Whole Foods. She was like, "What the fuck do you mean by
And
like
sometimes
scare him
people are
with old
scared of
Molly?"
the truth too. Like sometimes those
Right.
jabs might
Don't
have
get
a
me
hint of
don't
truth in.
don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. That may be the truth, but because I mean, Molly does got her things that she needs to work on
Right.
too.
So I just don't want to
However,
hear from you.
no,
No.
it's not just that though. But I think it's a two-way street. Like a person can you can give the person the truth, but also try not to hurt them and disable them with the truth, because you can speak the truth and be honest, but you can also hurt the person at the same time. And I think that's kind of where Issa is a little bit with it, where she's kind of hurting Molly by being a little too truthful. And then so Molly is just reacting because she's like, "Oh, bitch, you hurt me. I'm going to hurt you back." But she's not accepting. She doesn't see that that Issa's being truthful, and that there is some issues. She don't understand her own issues. So she just sees it as her just being like, "You got an issue with me." So
I do feel like these two characters, even though they have a deep relationship with each other, there's some polar opposites going. Like, I see Issa's characteristic as being more of a, I embrace change. I want change. I'm going after change. That's been her whole MO ever since she was doing the volunteer work at the, with the children's whatever, I forget what it's called, but the children's thing.
Yeah.
When they were doing the outreach, like she's always been on this kind of like exploring who I am and discovering who I am and like, continue to growing. And I feel like Molly has been one who's struggled a lot with change, like the thing with her father specifically, and learning that her father had, stepped out on their mom, like way back in the day before, there was anything or whatever. And she was still, and they had worked through it, but she was like holding a grudge against it. And even like these, kind of like jabs that Issa was saying, it was just like, you don't want the old Molly to come back because the old Molly was destructive. The old Molly she wanted to control the relationships because she did not want to emotionally get invested in those relationships. So she was trying to control the narrative, and she was like cutting off people. Remember, there was she was dating that one guy that she really kind of liked, and then she found out that he was kind of bisexual, or he experimented with guys, and she cut it off. And it was like, what the fuck is you doing? Like, this guy's like really nice and good. But, like, again, it didn't fit into her picture.
And I think sometimes we hold, and this is not even just like the characters, I think just everybody in humanity, honestly. I think sometimes we just almost freeze frame people into time, and that's the only thing that they can always be. Right. Even if they have grown, you still look at them as that frozen moment.
I feel
and
that.
refuse to see the growth or change of a person because either they hurt you in that time frame, and so you just want to hold on to that hurt time frame, and you ain't gonna be shit because that's what you did in that time frame, even though they've grown and changed since that moment. And I think both of them kind of do that to each other. Yes, I think Issa is a little more adaptable to change than Molly, but I think what they're both guilty with each other is they're holding each other in these frozen moments, not realizing that they've actually grown and changed a little bit. And it's okay for your friendship and relationships to evolve and change instead of holding people hostage in a moment in time. Or moments, plural, of time. And I see that sometimes when I do that, just like, and even I'm married, but there's sometimes where even in marriage and relationships, you get hurt and you want to keep them in that moment because you're still so hurt and you haven't done the due diligence on yourself to grow emotionally from,
Oh, absolutely.
And so you just literally want to hold them hostage in that moment, even though they literally might have done the due diligence and growth on their end, yet you refuse to see the growth. You might even see that it's there, but you're like, no, I'm gonna take you back because I still haven't grown from the hurt, And I feel like that's what they're kind of doing to each other right now.
Yeah, I don't know. Like like we said last week, I'm enjoying the season. I think they are doing a good job. They have not skipped a single fucking beat.
Kelly is still the star of the show.
Yeah, and then fucking Lauren sliding into Issa's DMs at the end, bitch. As soon as I saw that, I said, "Ooh."
Can we back up for just 1 second? Can we just back up?
Yes, it had Maya. Case of the X. I said, no.
Case of the X. They playing us at this ending right now.
Yes, they knew exactly what they were doing.
Can we just back up for just a second? Because I do think that it was that whole exchange between Condola and Lawrence right before he hit her up in the DM, because that was a catalyst for that action.
Yeah.
So they were in the kitchen, remember? They were in the kitchen having this
like,
dialogue.
Has she not cheated? Would you guys still be together?
And I'm sitting here wondering, why would she ask that question?
Because she hasn't grown from her hurt.
But no. That question don't make no damn sense.
Because she asked that. Yeah, it makes plenty of sense because he asked her if he was a rebound. And so, like, if you're gonna ask me why I'm with you, then I get to ask you why you're with me.
I agree.
It is completely fair.
But it just shows they both haven't gotten over their baggage.
They both haven't gotten over because exactly, because it was not fair for him to do that. Like, if she is taking the time and be with you, like, and all you thinking about, well, damn, what about this other nigga? She's with you, like. And so now you didn't open up the gate for her to ask you the same question. Well, what about her? And on top of that, I work with her. So I am the one person that really do get to ask these damn questions because you don't know my nigga.
Sometimes you want to self-sabotage too. A lot of people self-sabotage.
See, I think that's the reason, because the reality of it is we know that he already told Condola about their relationship and the fact that she cheated on him. So the reality
after she found out that they were exes to begin with. That's the whole, but we got to remember that Condola didn't know that until Issa said something first.
She put the two. No, what happened was he didn't tell her who his ex was, but he told her the circumstances of their breaking up. So she didn't know that Issa was the one that stepped out on him, but she did know the reason why he was single.
But when you meet someone at a mutual baby fucking shower, you should have fucking said something. You met at a baby shower for a mutual friend where your ex is friends with that person.
Well,
he
had
an opportunity to say something, he didn't. He fucked it up. I
don't know about that.
I don't know if he fucked it up there. I think he fucked it up because, once again, he hasn't communicated that he wants to get married, he wants to have a kid, and things like that. I think that's what really set him off back into his feelings when she said, I don't want to get married, I don't want to do this. Then, in his mind, you haven't said this to me, yet you haven't said that to her either, that you're expecting marriage, that you're expecting kids, etc. And it's a two-way street. A lot of times, again, we, hear shit that we want to get in our emotions about, yet you got to step back and say, hold on, have I fully communicated my expectations? Have I fully communicated that this is what I want this road to be? If you haven't, you can't really get that deep into your feelings because you haven't done your due diligence either.
The problem of it is, number one, is that there's not a rule book. Right.
It's
not like there isn't a rule book that says, on date number 2, you have to have these kinds of conversations. Right. Now, for some people, they may have that rule for themselves, but that doesn't work for everybody. So, what I appreciate
questions, I'm just saying.
Right. I mean, but there are people that go down that route. Like, I'm one of those people. If I, when I was single and I was dating, if I was dating, I was dating for the purpose of being in a relationship. Like, I'm not one of those people that casually date. I just don't do it because for me, it gets complicated. I get connected to emotion, and it's complicated. So point number 1 is that there isn't a rule book. Point number 2 was, I think in that context, it was a fucked up situation because he wasn't technically invited to the Thanksgiving. He invited himself. So And the precipice for this conversation came off of some drunk shit that one of her friends had said. So he was already in his feelings about this, because I think in his head he was thinking that they were moving in the same direction. I fully believe that they knew each other's history, because she said, I got divorced a year ago. That wasn't a surprise for him. Mm-hmm. And they had conversations about his past relationship.
I don't know if he fully knew it, because remember after
it seemed like a surprise. He was like,
Robin Thede, whatever her character's name, because Robin Thede played the best out of that role. That was fucking hilarious.
I loved her so much.
He said, "Oh, really?" Mm-hmm. And they kept the camera there for a split second, and then it went on.
I took that differently. I took it as him connecting the dots. That, this may not be a long-term thing for me.
See, that's how I didn't know. I took it like he didn't know.
I took it that he didn't know.
Because when she was like, "Oh, well, what did she say?" She was like, "Oh, what did she say?" It seemed like there was something that should have been between friends that might have let slipped that he didn't know.
Right.
And it was either one, how she felt that maybe he is a fuck buddy, or maybe he didn't know that she was married. It's one of those.
I don't think that what I'm saying is, I don't think that it was that he didn't know that she was married.
So then maybe I think it's the reality of what you're getting at, Duan, that they're not in the same. Yeah.
Right. And that's where you were talking about, Corel, about where these conversations come into play, because I'd have to go back and watch it, because now I really want to get a sense of what the timeline looks like, because they met each other, and for like the last couple of months they've been dating, like very casually dating. And remember, the last time we saw Lawrence, he was dating everybody. He was on that fuckboy shit. Remember?
So
all last season, right? We saw lots of ass.
Biggest hoe in LA.
So like it's interesting, like ending last season where like he meets this chick and he's kind of like dating her, and we're seeing what's going on, but he doesn't know and they don't know what's going on. So it's interesting seeing that he starts dating her, and then in this season we're getting these flashbacks of 3 months back, 2 months back. So we're making assumptions that they are spending time. We don't know how much time they spend together. We do know that they're sleeping together, but we don't know if they even had a conversation about, do we want this thing to be serious? Are you looking for something serious or whatever? So like that whole scene in the kitchen was really, really, first of all, I just love that they're telling real stories, because this is so relatable.
The best story to me was the story that Issa had with her brother when they were in that restaurant. And she said the words, "I felt like she is benefiting from all the hard work that I put in the relationship of 7 years with this man. Yeah. And now he's flourishing and thriving, and now she gets to reap that benefit." Woo! When I tell you, I shed a tear. I shed a real ass tear, because I've been there before, where you're dating someone and you're going through all that stuff, and you're like, come on, you're motivating and pushing them to do that, and they just don't. And then once things don't work out, all of a sudden they get their shit together. You're like, are you fucking kidding me?
I don't think that ever bothers me.
Oh, because, it bothers me, because why not do that shit in the relationship?
Because it's not meant for you. It's not meant for you. And that is so, like, I don't know.
We had a whole conversation on this on another podcast where Jarrell talked about, like, I'm not investing in you. Yeah. Like, I am not going to be your educator, your teacher,
this is the exact reason. This is the exact reason, because I've been down that road before. Like, and that's why they call me the fucking gatekeeper, because I've helped so many men come out from being straight, bisexual, whatever. That's probably where I fucked up to begin with.
That is.
Because
here's the thing.
The point that I'm making, though, is that the fact that they get to the point of where they are being the best themselves. They get to the point of that potential. And it's like, when you are going through the mud with someone and they leave you, it's hard not to be fucking mad about that, because you're like, I'm getting dirty with you to help you be the best person that you can be. And now you are over there fucking sipping pina coladas and shit and fucking whoever and their fucking goddamn mama. And then I'm over here still like,
you got to learn out of that. Like like you said, maybe that was the fucked up thing. I shouldn't have done that. But I think a lot of times when it's continuing those kind of lessons that where you're like, I constantly am investing in this person.
Right.
Time out. You need to invest in yourself.
Absolutely. I'm not disagreeing with that. My point is that it's real, though. That's a real thing that a lot of people go through, because a lot of people date and get caught up in the potential of someone that they forget the reality,
of the
of
situation.
where a person is. Exactly. And so it sucks that when you break up because you see the reality, and then afterwards, that potential that kept you in a relationship is exactly where they are after you. And you're like,
maybe we were the denominator that was the situation up for them, honestly. And that's a hard thing. And that's a hard thing to come to reality, honest. That, maybe I had a spot and like maybe I was the one slightly hindering them from their full potential, and they had to get out to become their full potential.
I firmly believe that
and that's hard to say, but yourself. And I've done that before, and it's not to say I've always been there. So I don't want that to come across like, Carell condescending ever. Nope.
Yeah.
Been there, done that. But now Carell at 36.
Sometimes it takes the person leaving, though. Sometimes it does take a person living to wake up.
I firmly believe that things happen for a reason.
Yeah.
And what happens after it. So if people come into your life and you have a certain experience for them, that experience is for you, for the time that you're with them, and for them as well, for the time that they're with you. And then when you part, the reality of it is they got a version of you that you aren't today.
Yeah.
They got a version of you that you are not today. So by the sheer fact that you went through that experience with them and they have flourished in their life through your own eyes, the reality of it is that they got a version of you with one feeling as opposed to the 5 that you have now. So, it's a mutual experience for everybody that's involved. And it's hard to kind of let that go.
It is.
But it's the reality.
It is the reality.
It's one of the great reasons that the storytelling in this series is so complex and so authentic and so real, because you see the complexity of the things that we deal with. Like the fact that Issa is struggling with this person that, according to her, she says she doesn't want to be with.
Bitch, she took the whole ass plate out that restaurant. Bitch, it wasn't they took the whole ass plate. I said, no, she didn't.
I love that comedic timing. They're like, Issa? Like, for Issa? Issa?
For here. He said, for here.
He did say for here.
He said, oh no, I ordered some things to go. And he said, play for Issa for here.
For Issa.
He took that whole ass plate out that damn restaurant.
And Community, if you haven't watched Insecure, sorry, we literally dissected everything from like the trees to the gravel on the ground to the.
We gave them a disclaimer 2 episodes ago.
We gave you a dissertation. We don't talk about
gotta watch
30
it.
minutes.
You gotta watch it.
Because by the time this episode airs, there will be another episode that airs.
I agree.
So if you haven't seen it, that's too bad.
You gotta catch up on it. It's a good show.
And the goddamn title.
I do have a question while we're on the topic of Friends. And Carell, this is something that you sent us. So last week, Tia Mowry had posted, like, during this pandemic, you really see who your real friends are by who's checking up on you, making sure who are okay. Remember that when all this was over, like, and then someone else commented back and was like, I feel like we need to constantly remind ourselves that the entire world does not revolve around us, and testing people's loyalty during a pandemic is narcissistic. And when Carell first sent this to me, I was like, bitch, I'm with Tia. I'm really with Tia. But now that I had a couple days to sit on it,
she didn't have that growth.
I really didn't have that. I had some growth. I still feel like I'm with Tia. But I like
there we go. I've never been one to put people through, like,
tests.
I don't know, like, say again?
Tests.
Yeah, like, I don't need to test you to, like, get your loyalty or test you to get your friendship. Like, I understand life is crazy, and a person not checking up on me does not necessarily mean that they don't care and love me. That's never been something like I don't know. Yes, it's nice to have people constantly checking on you and this and that. And honestly, sometimes it's annoying to me. but I guess I know, especially during COVID-19, you don't know what's going on. Like, if I didn't say it on the podcast, people probably wouldn't even know I had an uncle in the, like in the hospital and shit like that. Like, you just never know what is on someone's mind. So for me to test you and say, oh, you ain't check up on me during COVID-19, I don't like you like that. That's nothing to do with them now. That's all about my ego and my emotions. Like, if I have not communicated to, say, Jarrell and Dewan that, you know what, for me to really feel like we have a sincere friendship and that we really care about each other, just check up on me for here and now and then. It doesn't have to be every day, but my love language is you checking in on me. Cool, communicate it. And then now if you decide not to, I'm still probably going to give you the benefit of the doubt because life is crazy. But at least I communicated to you how I feel like our friendship is valuable to me, you know? And that's where a lot of times, once again, we say it all the time, that communication and that emotional maturity, it takes a while for a lot of us. And it could be growth in one relationship of friends and not growth in other relationships with friends and dynamics and all this stuff. So each friendship and each person is a different thing, but I've never been one that I needed to be constantly checked up on. And I don't expect that from anybody, honestly. If they do it, awesome. Great. I appreciate it. I'll let you know. Thank you. Hopefully all is well for you as well. But me not checking up on you does not mean I don't care and things like that. Yes, I will try to. I know for some people that's what they need. But life gets crazy. And the older you get, the crazier it gets. And it doesn't mean that I don't care and like you. You will know if I don't like you. I will either let you know it or I'll be extra short with our communications and things like that. But I don't know. So I agreed with, what was her name, Adina or something like that. The other person that replied to Tia on that I honestly do feel is more within the ego emotions of it and more of a test of our friendship than anything. And it's just like, okay, if you out here just trying to test me, then I don't need that.
I feel like there's truth on both sides. I don't think this is an either or conversation.
Very true.
I don't because. And what I was just doing was I was trying to look quickly to see if there was a further reply from Tia, because you can't also assume that you know what the intention of somebody's tweet is based on 255 characters. Like, they could potentially not be giving advice to people about all your relationships, but they could be, maybe it's in a string of tweets that she was doing that day about toxic people in her life, people that only take and never give back.
Right, but I think in this context too.
I know. Can I just get my comment out?
I got you, girl. My bad. Damn.
Okay.
I feel like you steady trying me, Dewan.
I'm a freak, girl. Let me get my comment out.
Well, I feel like Molly always stepping on my neck.
Right, always stepping on my neck.
You know what I'm? But that's what I'm saying. This, in my view, I take this as this is an and conversation. This isn't one or the other. It shouldn't be taken one as the other. And in Tia's comment, I think if you have people, and let's remember, she's in a completely different kind of world than Joe Schmoes that are here. Like, even I wouldn't say that she's A-list celebrity, but she is a certain level of degree that has a certain amount of people that are around her that may not be genuine contacts, friends, or whatever. Yes. So if you take that in consideration, there's probably a whole slew of people in her sphere of friends that are probably not friends. And this is in a string of, like, as part of being a celebrity, a person that has these connections, you think that somebody is there for you, but when you really need them, they're not. So it could be that. That's how I kind of like interpret it. And then on the flip side, there are people that are truly narcissistic, and people that do put their friends and relationships and people that are around them through like these little tests and trials. And that is a bit narcissistic. Like, at the end of the day, people reveal who they are to you one way or the other. And you have to make the choice. You can choose to put them on blast, or you can choose to make your own decision on how you want to move forward. So I don't, like, while I appreciate everybody kind of like saying I'm team this and I'm team that, and it's like, I'm actually team both, because I think that you need to be watching out for the people that you're pouring your energy into that aren't pouring it back, and that have the capacity to do it but choose not to pour it back, because there's just some people that need your energy, that need it, like truly need it. Yeah. There are a lot of people that are around us that will suck the life out of you.
That's true too.
Right.
That's true too.
And like, I agree with you more, Dewan, in the sense that I feel like there is a this and that. I lean a little bit more towards TL, however, and I just say this just because before today, there were no states opening back up. Like, everyone was on lockdown, okay? And so I don't see how it is hard at all to send a 10-second text just to be like, hey, you good. That's it. We don't need to have a whole fucking conversation about it. It does not take that much just to check in on someone and just to make sure that they are okay. Okay. So I took from this, but like, don't be like, oh, that's my girl. That's my boo. That's my bestie. If you don't have 5 or 10 seconds just to check up in on me. If it's regular ass associates that I'm like, oh, I see you at the bar. That's the only way I know you. I know you from volleyball. We don't talk outside of that. I don't care. But if we talking about possibly planning trips and going somewhere and inviting weddings or birthdays or bridal showers or baby showers or any of the shit like that, if you can't find 5 or 10 seconds throughout this whole quarantine, okay, we are going on 8 weeks on this shit. Out of 8 weeks, you ain't got 5 or 10 seconds to say, what's good? Are you okay with someone? Is unacceptable. It is completely unacceptable.
Are there people in your lives, both your lives, that you have reached out to that don't reach out back, or like take like, I just got a text from somebody I texted like a week ago, and I'm like, that's all I need. But so I'm wondering, those are the people when I do that or they do that to me, those are the people that I am not constantly talking with. Like the people who were constantly in my life pre-quarantine, I have made sure to stay in contact with those same people during quarantine. And I think there is some importance to that because your lives were a lot busier before shit was locked down and we had all this other things that we can do in fucking life. So there were all these other things that we were making time to do and still squeezing those people in our lives. And now when you take away those things and you have more time, but you still can't find the time for those people, I think that says more about you and how you view the friendship versus the other friend. How are you taking it,
completely, and I think it's completely within the friend's right to be like, hey, we were cool all the way up to this. All of a sudden, I'm a nobody to you.
My thought is, like, I hear it, I understand it, I get the feeling and emotion behind it, but it's just like, why are you waiting? Like, if there's a person out there waiting for this friend to get this text, why aren't you doing it first?
Well, I guess that's a good point. Because I'm not waiting. Because you're right. Because I wouldn't have waited. I wouldn't have waited either. But I think in this purpose right here, maybe it's, and again, it kind of Dewan, we were saying, like, maybe it's, she may have been the one always be like, hey, are you okay? It may be a one-sided thing. And it's the other friend that's not reaching out to her. It could be that she's the one being like, hey, how are you today? Are you doing okay? Another 3 weeks later, just checking in on you, boo. Are you doing good? And that friend is not taking the initiative to check in on her. That says something about a relationship, and that does fucking matter.
That's why I was wondering, Carell, if you had the same experience, had a similar experience, because, like, I mean, we talk almost every day, right. So, and I know that we all have, like, different kind of, like, text threads that we have, with group chats with a whole bunch of people, whatever. But, like, I just recently had this experience where, like, somebody that I consider to be a friend, I reach out to them on, like, social media or whatever, just to say, hey, how are you doing? What's going on? Blah, blah, blah. And then, like, I don't hear anything back. And then, like, literally, like, today I get, like, a text back, like, oh, I'm good. And I'm just like, in my mind, I'm kind of like, I'm taking note, because I'm just like, wait a minute, like,
right.
So I'm curious, have you had that?
I've never been that person. I honestly.
No, I mean, have you had that experience?
Yes,
like,
absolutely. And I've never been one where I take it negatively or positively, too negatively or too positively. I guess I've always been one. I give folks the benefit of the doubt, right, wrong, or indifferent. I don't honestly like it doesn't bother me one way or the other, because especially if it's like someone that I at least assume or think is a good friend, it could be a couple weeks. Like, especially like now I have friends that have families and kids and this and that. I don't take it too personally because I know life gets so busy, and sometimes you blame it on the head and not the heart. Yes, if it's like someone that like is literally in my circle and I haven't heard from in like 2 years, okay, so be it. We might not be as close as we once were. Might be a season. And I guess that might just be almost the pastor's kid in me too. My entire life, I've been taught that there's seasons for everything.
But this isn't
an
an old person coming in. This is talking about continuing before quarantine, during quarantine.
Let me finish. My answer is no. I have not gotten in my feelings about it. There's a season, and if they come in like 3 weeks from now, a year from now, and say, you know what, hey, how you been? Strike up the conversation again and catch it back up. And maybe they even feel the same way for me. Be like, man, I haven't heard from Carell in a while. It could be. But at the end of the day, especially during COVID, like, I know you were saying we have all the time in the world. It seems like for me, I don't have as much time right now.
But yeah, we telling the community to send in your Ask Your Aunties,
Please
and
do.
we telling people that they can record an entry because they get all this time. But if we don't tell them to do the same thing, we have to have the same expectation all the way around, though. That's how that works.
I'm just letting you know my answer, girl. He asked Carell. He said, Carell, what's your answer?
I was letting you know there's a hole in that answer. I was letting you know there's a hole in that answer.
I'm trying to give you my answer.
Right here at the bottom, there was a little hole.
You don't like my answer.
Right here at the answer.
Just because you don't like my answer.
No, there was a hole. There was a hole because you gave room for your people, but you left the community hanging, talking about, oh, they busy. Oh, but the community ain't busy?
They are. That was y'all saying, come on, y'all. Just we rewind the tape. We got it'll be out there, but I'm just saying, if they haven't done it, okay, so be it. It's not going to hurt my feelings, I guess, at the end of the day. If you don't want to do it, you don't want to do it. And vice versa.
I was just curious. I was just curious, just from a person, because we're talking about this, like we're talking about 2 tweets at the end of the day. Exactly. Like we're talking about 2 tweets, and my biggest question, because I saw it, but I didn't get a chance to kind of like research it, because I was just curious, like what were the after tweets from those particular people? Because I would, like I know there are those of us that have a lot of time on our hands, and those of us that don't, and there are a lot of people that get really into the Twitter stuff. And you can infer a lot from a tweet. And I don't know. I think both points are really valid and good reminders for people at large.
Absolutely.
Like, don't assume that you know what's going on in people's lives, but at the same time, you have to make decisions for what works best for you. And if you need people around you to check in on you, and you're checking in on them, or whatever that dynamic is that you set up, then it's okay. It's 100% okay for you to be able to express that. And I think that that's good and healthy.
And we did put this for the community.
We were saying before too, like kind of with the whole like Molly and Issa thing about just communication. Like I think this is one of those perfect examples where, like, 2 people see things completely differently, and it doesn't mean that neither one of them are wrong. They're just 2 different experiences.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important that you communicate what you need in that friendship. And I would personally say, in that moment, if your friend says, hey, I can't do that for you, then that's when you say, okay, well, guess what? Then
I can either accept it.
Right, accept it, or you can't.
Or you can't.
I can't.
Exactly.
Or I'll work on trying to accept it. I can't right now, but I'll work on it.
Exactly. But I think you're right. Don't assume. Just have that communication.
It's a journey.
Especially if we keep on stressing the importance of friendship, you should be able to communicate that.
Absolutely.
If you don't have the emotional maturity, find it somehow, grow somehow. And this is like, I talk to
therapy, it works. I'm gonna tell you, I'm a product.
I love what you said earlier, Carell, about just about, like the willingness. Like, how do you bridge the gap? Like, at the end of the day, you have every relationship you have, you're a human being in that relationship, and you are bombarded with so many influences, personally, intellectually, spiritually, emotionally, like all these things that are happening, and you're reacting to it. Some things are big reactions and are life changing. It changes the core of your personality or your direction of your life, and other ones are micro.
Yeah.
And when you're interacting with other people, like a lot of us love the safety and the comfort of, those closest relationships, because they have a certain kind of dynamic to them. And when that dynamic starts to shift and change, we feel it viscerally. Yeah. And, there are some times where we fight against it. We fight against somebody changing, or we changing ourselves. And other times we embrace it. And that's a really difficult thing for people to say, oh, this is how you need to react to, something changing in your life. But I think it all boils back to what we've been talking about, which is, we as people just have to get better at, talking about things. Like when you recognize it, you don't have to be the best communicator, but, at least be aware of your emotions and at least try to hold that in check so that you can have an open and honest and, hopefully resolution-driven dialogue with the other person about the changes that are going on.
And it takes away from the misinterpretations too.
Yeah,
it's just like,
absolutely.
It's just like the misinterpretations of things and thinking someone's shading you, and it's just like, no, let's just talk about this. Okay, you felt that way. Okay, that's how you took it. That wasn't my intent. This is what I need as well, etc. And let's talk about and be fucking grown-ups at this point. We're all getting too old for this shit.
And I'm just going to say thank y'all for continuing to check in on me. And the community thanks y'all for reaching out and checking in on us as well, too.
Absolutely.
I know I'm coming up on a year of my mental breakdown. So, like, I know the people that love me. Oh, shit, I'm tearing up. The people that love me have been doing great work to make sure to show me extra love around this time, because this is about that time of the year last year where things were not going great for me and I had to do a lot of self-discovery. So I am fortunate enough. Thank you guys to the community. If you have the time and the bandwidth in your daily life to check in on people, don't be afraid to check in on people, because you never know what a difference it might make.
That is very true.
100%.
I think, like, we put this out there for you guys too. I think it was 70-30 for Adina versus Tia too. So we did put this out there just to see what the community responded to that particular tweet. So we'll put more stuff out there like that. But this one definitely clearly rubbed a little nugget in our souls.
But these are the kind of conversations that really matter. Like,
absolutely.
how many times, granted, like the whole first 45 minutes of our podcast today was all about like dildos and sex, and those conversations matter
those
too.
are important as well.
But like this other end, it's really important to talk about like how we treat each other and what expectations we have in our own heads, and do they make themselves out from our heads to our mouths, having dialogue with other people, or do they just stay in your heads and you making decisions unilaterally without checking? Like,
right. That's true.
That's tough.
Well, community, hopefully you're staying safe during quarantine. Please stay inside as much as you can. We know a lot of states are reopening. Use your wits about you, because the data shows that it's still rising out there. Despite what
200 new cases in Georgia since they opened on Friday.
I know. So please continue to wash your hands, your legs, and your ass. Subscribe. We're on YouTube. Wherever you stream podcasts.
Download, share, Spotify, Pandora,
click the like
iTunes.
button on YouTube as well.
Yes. Oh, yeah, the like button.
So, and then I guess till next week, we will see you later.
Yes. Have a great week, guys.
Bye, y'all.
She said,